currently up here in Bowersville. This is where the Hartwell Railroad has its shops, and over here is a preserved beauty. Ex-Bessemer in Lake Erie GP9 454. Hasn't moved in over, I think, a decade, but it's still here, thank goodness, and it's, I think, pretty much the same as built, with maybe a few modifications here and there. I'm not going to try and stay for very long because I don't think the Anderson, the man who owns the railroad, I don't think he'd be too happy about some average kid being here. But I wanted to get photographs of the engine because even though it ain't going anywhere, you know, you just can't, you can't just go and assume. And with the main lines here, and there's another MU car. I'm going to go down there and check that out. And I think what they're using this engine for now is basically a full-blown parts source, from what I can see, because, yeah, the doors and all are open on it, the side doors. Here's an old switch from the, probably Bethlehem steel, I think. Though to be fair, I haven't seen one like that. There's a piece of maintenance of way equipment here. There's an old sanding tower. I'm trying to find a place to get a decent picture of the engine because there's a lot of thick shrubbery. I don't want to risk, you know, stepping into a snake pit, if you get what I'm saying. That would be bad. The only good thing about this is this trackage here is mostly, from what I can see, used for storing stuff, so I don't think I'd have to worry about it, you know, being a problem. You can see here they've got a truck, an actual railroad car truck here. Or two, actually. I thought it was one of the three-wheeled ones, but no, that's off of a freight car. Probably one that they had either had cut up or salvaged for parts. That's actually rather interesting, just seeing them here. Yeah, actually, I was right. There's the car they got them off of right there. It's an old tractor-trailer flat car. They just, so I guess this is the one that they got that ended up derailing, so they just came in and cut it up and just took the wheels off so they could reuse them. I mean, it makes sense. They got all sorts of old maintenance of way equipment and whatnot out here. Yeah, but there's the sanding tower right there. You can see another switch here. Now I think this was actually, oh no, it's ain't a Bethlehem switch at all. Bethlehem switch, listen to me. This isn't a Bethlehem steel switch at all. I've actually never seen one like this. So that's an interesting little find. Problem is though, is the place has got just parts and whatnot scattered everywhere, and that's not really a good thing. I mean, I can't really tell from looking here. I can't tell what's new and what's old and what's being just stripped out, salvaged. I don't know. I can't tell. I need to see if maybe, just Zena, if you see this, I mean, if you could clarify that for me, that'd be nice. Now there is actually a prime mover, a diesel engine from probably one of the locomotives. There's, I think, an ash pit. And that was probably used for Reading Railroad 11, which was a small steam locomotive the railroad had back in, I think, the early 70s or 80s. But it's not just a locomotive I'm here to photograph either. There's a bunch of old rail cars they just have sitting out here for, you know, various use. Like, here's an old Southern gondola, and beside the shop building they've got two they've got two Conrail boxcars. Again, here's the main line right here, and here's the old sidings where they've taken up the track right here, and apparently where they just ripped it over, it's just been as it, you know, it's literally as left, basically. So this was obviously the servicing track. This is where they would have serviced the locomotives, refilled their sand reservoirs, most likely even the fuel reservoirs, I'm sure. Slipped on an old tie there, I'm fine. You can see there's just random and miscellaneous pieces of maintenance of way equipment scattered about, track parts. I mean, to me it looks like a mess, but I'm sure to them, I'm pretty sure it helps them figure out exactly where everything is. Like right there was probably something they would have used to carry supplies and rail, I'm sure, right there. And I think that was probably for an old signal of some kind. I've never seen something like that. I'm curious, what even is this? Xena, or as you go by on YouTube, Eastern U.S. Transportation. If you could let me know what that is, that would be grateful. Because I don't know if that's the base of an old signal or what. Or maybe like an old standpipe, an old water pipe for watering the steam locomotive. Here's the back end of 454. I have to watch my step here. There's all kinds of stuff all over the place. I mean, I'm not looking down on the railroad. I find a lot of what they have either in service or in storage very interesting, because their motive power roster's got a lot of rare equipment on it. But there's the engine, the diesel engine that powered 454 there. Of course, again, most likely may never run again. The engine may never run again now. There's an old passenger seat there. Like, they literally, I think, I don't know exactly what they use the yard for anymore, but if I had to guess, it's probably, some degree of repair, maintenance. Basically, I'll just be blunt, the railroad is doing whatever it can to keep whatever equipment it still has operable going. And while that's commendable, it's also not a very good sign, because I don't want this railroad to end up like the Carolina Southern Railroad up in Mullins, because it was a short line that was similar to the Hartwell Railroad and its two other branch lines. Thing is, it also had similar motive power. In other words, the motive power roster was at a similar age point. A lot of the locomotives they had were much older models, like first and second generation diesel power from like the 50s, 60s, and early 70s. And a lot of it ended up being cut up. A lot of the diesels ended up being scrapped when the railroad closed. The reason it closed was because they couldn't afford to repair the bridges along the right-of-way. Now here's the Conrail boxcar. And they have another one from NS. Now, before you say anything, they actually, all they had to do just to put these here and make them part of the building. The shop building is, all they did is they just took the wheels off. So they're using these for storage. That's really all they're using this for. Got a bulldozer there. Some other kind of machine, I'm guessing some kind of tank, I'm guessing. I don't know. You can see they just drive stuff up to the shops here. Got an old cat bulldozer there, Caterpillar bulldozer. Bunch of old various equipment. Gonna walk back around. All the vegetation makes this impassable. Actually, no way, there's a road right here. That might help. Now bear in mind, to the owner of the railroad, if you see this, I'm not taking anything. I'm not touching anything. I'm strictly an observer. I'm just wanting to document this because, you know, you never know when stuff like this will be gone. One minute it's here, the next it ain't here at all. Well, that's not nice. Crossbucks are gone. They've got the tracks, the 2 tracks things, but the actual crossing signs are gone. So does that mean the track is exempt? Don't know. But here's another boxcar that Norfolk Southern had in their possession, and there is the other MU car, and I think this one still has the old front end portion. Oh, now that's actually an interesting photo, isn't it? See clear through the boxcar because both doors are open. I'll make sure. I want the boxcar in the shot as like a border. So the only way you're able to see the other side is through the door. Like that. I can get a better view of the equipment on the other side of the tracks. That's probably a former Southern boxcar if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of the equipment has just been sitting here for God knows how long. Whether or not it'll move, I don't know. I mean, look at this. They've got maintenance of way equipment here just idle, just stuck here. Oh man. That is a very old crossing sign. Look at that. Makes me think of that film that was made in the 80s, The Day After. I'm getting vibes of that too. And here's another switch. Now here was where they probably had a lot more trackage here, but of course that's no longer there. I mean, I'd imagine there was probably a sizable yard here. But here's the crossing sign. That looks cool, the way it's faded out. You don't see these anymore. That's probably been here, oh God, I don't know, or I don't know how long. You can barely see the paint, the letters on it too. All right, let me get off these concrete blocks. The reason I got up there was so that I wouldn't be in that truck's way. Right, yep, I was right. So this MU still has the front part. So this was one of the cab cars that would have been used on the commuter railroads up in New Jersey. Because these things did last into the New Jersey Transit era. But sadly, like the other MU up in Hartwell, this one is in just as bad a shape. Actually, I think this one still has the horn on it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it was an air horn or not, but still. This is car 102, so 101 was the one before it, which would make about a reasonable amount of sense. So, Mr. NJT, here you go, man. I don't know if this car still has the old power generating equipment on it, like for commuter service, but I doubt it. But there's the horn there and the old marker lights. Oh, slipped. Yeah, and it still has the old headlight and marker lights, so that gives you an idea as to which car this would have been. I'm guessing a cab car. I really don't know, but I'm guessing it's one of the two. Seeing it still has the old headlight and marker light that you would have seen, I'm guessing it was one of the two. And I'm not going to go up in this one. Besides, there's no telling what could be in it. But you can see the railroad at one point had a good actually had some decent maintenance of way equipment, and it would have been stuff, of course, as you can see, that CSX would have used, most likely in either the late 80s to late 90s. But of course now it's so outdated that it's abandoned, really. They can't use it. This would have all been used to keep this track in a decent condition, and now it can't. You can't use it. It's pretty much abandoned, and all there's trackage, like bits of rail and whatnot, laying everywhere, parts laying everywhere. It's a mess. I mean, I love this railroad. It's pretty much been immortalized on YouTube as it is, but I'm worried that alone won't. I'm worried that if nothing's done soon, it's gonna close. Because, in other words, what I'm trying to say is I'm worried the rail line is gonna deteriorate to the point where even if they wanted to run trains, they wouldn't be able to, just due to the track condition. And it's kind of giving me the vibes to the Penn Central and its right-of-ways back in the 70s, which were so bad that they had cars derailing even when they weren't moving. Now that tells you something.